What if one man could challenge an empire without ever raising a sword? What if one man could lead his people to freedom simply by refusing to give in? That man was Mahatma Gandhi. Born in 1869 in the small Indian city of Porbandar, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was a quiet, unremarkable boy who grew into one of history's most extraordinary leaders. Growing up, he learned the ancient Hindu practice of ahimsa, or nonviolence, and took it with him when he went off to study law in London. But it was in South Africa where Gandhi learned just how powerful that philosophy could be. Arriving there in 1893, he soon realized that the laws were designed to keep Indians like him on the lowest rung of society. They were denied basic rights, beaten in the streets, and forced to live in squalor. For years, Gandhi tried working within the system to bring about change, but it wasn't enough. So he organized. He led strikes, boycotts, and protests against unjust laws, and the authorities responded with violence. But Gandhi and his followers held firm to their peaceful ways, enduring beatings and imprisonment without complaint. It was here that Gandhi developed his philosophy of satyagraha, which combined truth or satya with force or agraha. It meant standing up for what is right, no matter the personal cost. And it was a philosophy born out of necessity, born out of pain, but which would go on to change the world. After a decade in South Africa, Gandhi returned to India in 1915, where he threw himself into the struggle for independence from the British Empire. At the time, India was a patchwork of kingdoms and regions, all ruled over by Britain. Millions of Indians were living under foreign domination, exploited for their labor and taxed without representation. But most Indians had never even heard of Gandhi or his philosophy of satyagraha. All that would soon change. In 1917, Gandhi led a group of protesters in a march to the sea. The next day, Gandhi called for a nationwide boycott of British goods. Soon, millions of Indians were participating in acts of defiance, from school children to grand princes. But the British weren't about to give up their empire without a fight. In the following years, Gandhi and his followers endured beatings, imprisonment, and worse, yet they persisted. In 1930, Gandhi decided to make a stand. He would walk 240 miles to the sea. Along the way, he and his followers would make salt, thus defying British salt taxes. This became known as the Salt March. The world took notice. India's struggle for freedom was no longer hidden. It was out in the open, and it was impossible to ignore. Of course, this didn't sit well with the British authorities. Thousands of Indians were arrested, including Gandhi. He was sent to prison, beaten, and put on trial. But every time he was released, he hit the road again, marching, making salt, and urging Indians to keep up the fight. For 8 long years, the struggle continued. There were riots, assassinations, and reprisals. But eventually, the British began to falter. By 1945, they had lost control of the Indian subcontinent. The war in Asia was over. On August 15, 1947, India was free. But freedom came with a terrible price. The subcontinent was divided, split into 2 separate states, India and Pakistan. Overnight, Hindus and Muslims who had lived together for centuries were suddenly separated. Millions fled their homes, crossing into the new borders. There was bloodshed along the way, a human catastrophe that continues to this day. In the end, Mahatma Gandhi had to flee to Delhi to try and broker peace between the 2 new nations. He spent his final days urging Hindus and Muslims to live together in peace. He spoke out against the violence, calling for love and unity. But it was too late. On January 30th, 1948, as he was walking to his evening prayer meeting, Gandhi was shot by a Hindu extremist. He was taken to a hospital where he died. Although he had been gone for over 70 years, his message continues to inspire. From the American civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. to the South African reformer Nelson Mandela, the Mahatma's philosophy of nonviolent resistance has changed the world. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi may have been an unassuming man who never held political office or led armies, but he was a giant among men, a man who dared to stand up for what was right, and in doing so won freedom for millions. If you enjoy stories of history's great leaders, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.